Okay, so today's topic is active and passive voices. These are also two ways of sentences that we learn in communicative English. And these you will learn through tenses. Each tense will have a passive voice. You already remember rule about present simple. So the first sentence reads, Ramu cooks food for the Sharmas. Pay attention to the second sentence. Food for the Sharmas is cooked by Ramu. Subject is Ramu in the first sentence, and Ramu is performing some act for somebody else. So Ramu is cooking. The act is cooking. In the second sentence, food which came as object is now placed in the place of the subject. So it is converted into the subject. But this subject is very different from Ramu. Here, food is not doing anything. Although food here takes the position of the subject but is not acting as a subject. It is being emphasized. Over here the emphasis on the food, but it is not behaving like subject Ramu. The sentence has been changed like this. This food in the first sentence, which was in the place of the object, now it is placed in the subject's place, and the first form of verb is turned into third form and is added over here, and which was the subject loses the focus or emphasis and placed in the place of object. And added elements, if we compare it with the first sentence, are is and by, and conversion of first form of verb into the third form. Now let us see the next sentence. Monu beats 3 rowdy boys in the class. Subject Monu is doing something. We will pick 3 rowdy boys and place it in the place of the subject, because this is what is being emphasized in the passive voice. 3 rowdy boys, these are plural. This subject is plural, 3 rowdy boys. That's why rather than placing is over here, we fix are. And then just like here, the third form was there. So beats, third form of beat is over here, beaten. And the same thing is added by. And then Monu here is placed in the end, and rest comes also. So 3 rowdy boys are beaten by Monu in the class. What we learn over here is that this is the rule. So over here, the first sentence is in the present simple. And when we convert present simple into the passive voice, then this is what it happens. This one is the first rule over here, is the rule for the present simple. And rule for the passive voice of present simple is this. You add object, then is MR, depending on the singularity or plurality of your subject, which is now object in the place of subject. And you add third form of verb. First form of verb is converted into third form of verb, and you add by, and you put the subject over here. Now let's move to next. Present continuous. So you remember rule of present continuous tense. Now let us see what is the usage. Pay attention to the first sentence. Sunanda is watching a horror movie. So subject is here and something is being done in relation to the object, a horror movie. So subject, object, and this is the verb with the helping verb is. And now pay attention to the second sentence. A horror movie is being watched by Sunanda. So we pick the object, a horror movie, and place it in the position or place of the subject, and then add is, because this is singular, a horror movie. And after that we add being, which refers to the continuity. After that we replace the ing form with the third form, we add by, and then place the previous subject in the place of object. A horror movie is being watched by Sunanda. So this one is the passive voice of the active voice of present continuous tense. Let us see another example. I am eating green apples. This is the active voice in present continuous tense. It's converted into passive voice. Again, we will pick up the object in this sentence. Object will pick up and place it in the place of subject. So green apples, And then because apples are plural, that's why we will add are, because the subject over here is plural, are, and then to show the continuity being, and then the third form, each third form is eaten, and then add by, and then we will convert the subject into me. So in this, the rule remains the same, everything remains the same. What you need to focus for the moment is this me. When you convert the pronoun of an active voice into the passive voice, then it is changed accordingly. I will change into me when you convert it into passive voice. They is converted into passive as them, I as me, we as us. Now see the rule. The rule is very simple. This is a present continuous rule. First box here shows subject plus is MR depending on the subject, then ing form of verb, then object. Then this rule is converted into the passive voice as object is MR depending on plurality or singularity. Then you add being, after that third form of verb, then you add by, and then subject. Now we come to present perfect simple. She has completed homework. So in this sentence, so now we will pick up homework, which is the object, and put it in the place of subject. So passive voice sentence will start with homework, and then has will remain the same. We will just add been in this, and then third form will remain third form, completed. Then we will add by, and then we will convert she as her. So when there is she in the active voice, she will be converted into passive as her. Homework has been completed by her. Now let us see the next sentence. Next sentence is they have climbed over the Everest. The Everest we will fix here in the place of subject. And then because the Everest is singular, that's why we will not use have. Have was used with this subject in the active voice because they is plural. So have will not be used. We need to fix this helping verb have in accordance with the new subject, which is the object in the first sentence. So over here, the Everest, because Everest is singular, that's why has. And then we add been. After that, the third form will remain the third form, and then over will remain over. Then we add by, and they, as we already said, is converted into passive voice as them. Present perfect simple rule, subject plus has or have depending on the subject's plurality or singularity, third form of verb plus object. Then we convert this into passive voice. So the rule for passive voice is we start with the object, then has or have depending on plurality or singularity. Then we add be, third form of verb. Then we add by, and then place the subject. Now let us move to the next tense. Present perfect continuous. People generally do not use the passive voice for present perfect continuous. So it's very rare that an action or a sentence in present perfect continuous passive voice will be constructed. Because we learned tenses, so we need to convert them into passive voices also. That's why we have the uses for present perfect continuous tense as well. Pay attention to the first sentence. I have been watching Game of Thrones for 5 hours. When we convert it into passive voice, then Game of Thrones will be placed in the position of the subject because one series is being talked about. So this is singular. That's why has been used rather than have. Then we will use the been, which is already there in the first sentence. And then we will add being, which again shows the continuity. And then the third form of verb. Here it was ing form. We converted ing form into the third form. Then we added by, and this I is now converted as me, and then rest. Game of Thrones has been being watched by me for 5 hours. Let's move to the next sentence. All the children have been playing Holi since morning. We lift Holi from here and make it a subject. Because Holi is singular, that's why has. Over here, children is plural, that's why have. But here, Holi is singular, that's why has. And been was here, we will use the been and add being, which shows the continuity. And ing form will be converted into third form. Add by, and after that, all the children, and then since morning. Holi has been being played by all the children since morning. So this is the rule. Subject plus has or have, depending on the plurality or singularity of subject. Then you add been, then ing form, and then object. It will be reversed in this way: object, then has or have, depending on plurality or singularity of object, and then been, then being. After that, third form of verb, by, and then subject. Now we come to the past tense. Now look at the usage. A thief returned coronavirus vaccine bottles to the hospital. Subject, second form of verb, and then we place the object. Now this will be converted into passive voice. Coronavirus vaccine bottles is the object over here. So we will fix this in the first place. Coronavirus vaccine bottles. We lift it up from here and place it in the place of subject because it's plural. That's why we will add word, and after that, third form of verb, and then add by, and then this subject is now converted into object. A thief and rest over here to the hospital. Now let's move to another example. Mohan and Sohan bought bananas and vegetables for home. Let's convert it into passive voice. We will lift up the object from the first sentence, bananas and vegetables. So we fix over here in the beginning, bananas and vegetables. Because they are plural, that's why we added word, and after that, bought the object, Mohan and so on, and the rest for home will remain the same. Now see the rule: subject plus second form of verb plus object, and then passive voice. Object will come first, then was, were, depending on the plurality or singularity of object, and then third form of verb, then by, and then subject. Now past continuous tense. Look at the usage. We know the rule. They were playing PUBG video game in the night. We converted into the passive. PUBG video game, which was the object in first sentence, we will fix it over here in the place of subject. Since PUBG video game is singular, so we will add was, and then we add being to show the continuity, and after that, rather than ing form, we use the third form, and then we add by, and then the previous subject, which was they, is converted into passive as them, and rest is used the way it was in the previous sentence. Now let's have a look at the second sentence. We were meeting our maternal grandfather and grandmother. Now, our maternal grandfather and grandmother as object in the first sentence is placed in the place of the subject. Our maternal grandfather and grandmother. Here, because we was used, that's why were is used. Here, grandfather and grandmother, 1 plus 1 become 2. That's why it is plural. The subject is plural because two people are being talked about. That's why were has been used over here, and after that being to show the continuity, and then ing form is converted into the third form. The third form of meet is met, and then we add by, and because as we already discussed, we in the passive voice is converted into us. That's why this subject over here becomes object and is converted as us. These are the rules. Past continuous, subject plus was, were, depending on the plurality or singularity, then ing form of verb, then object, and after that in the passive voice, object will come first, then was, were, depending on plurality or singularity of object, then being, then third form of verb, after that by, and then subject in the place of the object. Past perfect tense. Look at its usage. The sweepers had cleaned the streets early in the morning. Subject, then had, third form of verb, then the object. Now we will convert it into passive voice. We picked up the streets which is the main object, because something is being done to the streets. That's how you get to know the relation between subject and the object. Otherwise, you will not be able to identify which is the appropriate object. You need to remember that the subject is doing something whose effect is on something else. The thing or person that receives that act or the effect of that act is the object. The verb shows the act or action. So we pick up the streets and place it here in the position of the subject. And after that, we use the had and then add been. And then third form remains the third form. We add by. After that, we then fix the sweepers, which was the subject in previous sentence, and then early in the morning remains the same. The sweepers had cleaned the streets early in the morning is converted into passive voice as the streets had been cleaned by the sweepers early in the morning. Now let's look at another sentence. Passengers had boarded the flight to Uzbekistan. Passengers over here, plural, had remains the same, and boarded is the third form of board the flight to Uzbekistan. This is the object entirely. So it is converted into passive voice as the flight to Uzbekistan had, and then been will be added, and then the third form will remain the same, by added, and then this was subject in the previous sentence, and now it is the object. So in the passive voice, it becomes the flight to Uzbekistan had been boarded by passengers. Now see the rule, subject, had, and this had will remain the same no matter subject is plural or singular, does not really matter. Third form verb, then object. So it is converted in this way, object plus had. Again, had will remain had, whether object is, the new subject is singular or plural, whichever it is, it will remain the same. We add be, then third form of verb, and by is added, and then subject, okay, which was earlier here. Now subject is at the back. Now we come to past perfect continuous. Again, the usage of perfect continuous tense in all the formats, whether it is present, past, or future, is very rare, but we attempt the rare thing also. Let us see the usage first of the past perfect continuous tense. The factory workers had been operating machines for last 3 years. Now we will convert it into passive voice. Machines over here are being acted upon by factory workers. That's why it's the object in the first sentence. So this object will be placed in the position of the subject over here. Had been will remain the same because had been was here. It will remain the same. We will add being, and after that ing form will be converted into the third form. We will add by after that, and then the factory workers, which were the subject in the previous sentence, in the first sentence, will come as object here, the factory workers, and then the rest for last 3 years. So the factory workers had been operating machines for last 3 years is converted into passive voice as machines had been being operated by the factory workers for last 3 years. Now let's move to second sentence. Vendors had been selling tomatoes since morning. We'll lift up tomatoes from here. So we fix it here. Tomatoes. Okay, had been will remain the same, had been. We will just add being, and then ing form of sell is converted into the third form, sold. Okay, after that we add by, and then we lift up this subject and place it in the place of the object in the passive voice, vendors. And then because morning is an accurate time, that's why we add since. So vendors had been selling tomatoes since morning is converted into passive voice as tomatoes had been being sold by vendors since morning. Rule is very simple. Subject plus had plus been plus ing form plus object. And then object will be coming first, then had plus been plus being plus third form of verb plus by, and then subject. Now we move to next tense, future simple. Its usage, the first sentence, she will send a letter to Ram's mother tomorrow. So her action sending is acted upon a letter. This is the main object over here. So a letter is emphasized in the passive voice, we will fix this letter which is in the object, the main object over here, in the place of subject. We will begin the passive voice with a letter and then we will use will as it is. Just add be. After that, first form send will be converted into the third form. It will become send. We will add by. And then this subject she, as we've already discussed, is converted into passive as her. And then we add rest as it is to Ram's mother tomorrow. So she will send a letter to Ram's mother tomorrow is converted into passive voice as a letter will be sent by her to Ram's mother tomorrow. Now let us see to second sentence. She will train him for a boxing match. Now this him is the object over here. So we lift up this him, and because him is here, so all this happens vice versa. If him comes in the active voice, so it will be converted into passive voice as he. So this conversion happens vice versa. So him from active voice is converted into passive as he. So it will start as he. So he will remain same, will, and then we add be. Then train will be converted in third form of verb as trained. Then we add by, and then this she is converted from active to passive as her, and then we add the rest for a boxing match. So this object is here subject and is converted because pronouns keep on converting from when they are converted from active to passive and passive to active. That's why. Then she will train him for a boxing match is converted into passive voice. He will be trained by her for a boxing match. This is the rule for future simple. Subject plus will plus first form verb plus object. And now we will reverse it and add some more elements. Object plus will, we added be, then third form of verb, then by, and then subject. Now see the future continuous tense. First sentence, North and South Korea will be initiating peace process. Now we convert this into passive voice. Peace process is the object in the first sentence. We will pick this up and place in the place of subject. And then this will be the same, but because we need to show the continuity, that's why we added being over here. And then ing form is converted into third form. We add by, and then this subject is now placed in object's position. So it becomes over here North and South Korea. So North and South Korea will be initiating peace process is converted as peace process will be being initiated by North and South Korea. Now let's pay attention to the second sentence. He will be peeling oranges at the picnic spot. Now we will convert it. So oranges we will pick up from object position and place it in the subject position. So oranges will be remaining the same. Add being to show continuity, and then ing form converted into third form, and then we add by, and this he, which was the subject, is now converted into object as him, and rest at the picnic spot will remain the same at the picnic spot. He will be peeling oranges at the picnic spot will be converted into passive voice as oranges will be being peeled by him at the picnic spot. This is the rule. Subject plus will plus be plus ing form plus object, and then we convert it and add some more elements. Object plus will plus be, we add being. Object plus will plus be plus being plus third form of verb plus by plus subject. Future perfect simple. So let us see the first example. She will have played football with her friends. So now this is converted. Football will be lifted and placed as subject. After that, will have is used. We add been. Third form will remain third form. By will be added, and then this subject she will be converted into passive as her, and then with her friends will remain the same. So she will have played football with her friends is converted into passive. Football will have been played by her with her friends. Let us see the next sentence. Overpopulation will have created food crisis in 2034. Now we use the food crisis. Food crisis is the object in the first sentence. We lift it up here and place it as a subject. Food crisis. Will have will remain same. We just add been. Third form remains the same. We just add by. After that, overpopulation, which was the subject in first sentence, is converted into object in the second sentence in the passive, and then in 2034 remains the same. So overpopulation will have created food crisis in 2034 is converted into passive as food crisis will have been created by overpopulation in 2034. Now the rule: subject plus will plus have plus third form verb plus object. Now it is converted and some reversed and some more elements are added. Object plus will plus have plus been plus third form of verb plus by plus subject. Now future perfect continuous tense. People will have been digging roads for 3 hours. Now we will convert it into passive voice. So roads object over here in the first sentence is now converted into subject over here. So roads will have been will remain the same, will have been. We just add being over here, and ing form digging or first form dig is converted into third form as dug. By will be added, and this people, which was a subject, will become object, will remain the same, people over here, and then for 3 hours, we will fix it over here like this. Now let's move to next sentence. We will have been watching episodes of X-Men since morning. So in this sentence, episodes of X-Men is the object. So now we lift it up from here, and then in the passive, we start the sentence with episodes of X-Men, and then will have been remains the same, will have been. And after that, we add being, and then ing form is converted into the third form, watched, and we, as already discussed, is converted into passive as us. We add by and then place we over here as us, and then because morning is a confirmed time, that's why since morning. So we will have been watching episodes of X-Men since morning is converted into passive voice. Episodes of X-Men will have been being watched by us since morning, and this is the rule. Subject plus will plus have plus been plus ing form plus object. Now reverse it and add some more elements. Object plus will plus have plus been. Being is added. After being there is plus third form of verb plus by plus subject. For today, I think this is sufficient. To support free education for all, please like, share and subscribe to Free Academy.